a little bit different than what we've done in past years, and I should say Becky and I did, because Becky was instrumental in helping to put it up into the actual grid. I made the grid and she put stuff in. The first page is the Board of Education, and what I did is with all the departments we've already done, we put everything together. So we already have a picture, so we're a lot further ahead right now than we've ever been in the past. So at this point on the Board of Education, there's a slight increase. The reason being I added for advertising, because we pay through the nose for advertising, and we never have enough under that general category. And also our policy service will probably go up a little bit. We have not gotten those prices. One of the things, and I can say this with Nikki sitting here with me, because what we did throughout this whole thing, we just took a BOCES 4% increase across the board. I'm guessing that it could be more.
It should be less for most coasters. The problem becomes when it's like a shared teacher, because it's just salary and benefits, and with benefits going up so much, we can't cut any of those positions because it's requested by the district. So those become problematic to us. So it really depends on what the benefits are doing. But the rest of them, we've been trying to keep it within the 2 to 3%.
Because I thought Tom was saying administratively, though, it's going to be
Yes.
higher, so that would be. So we took a general 4% for all of our BOCES services, and just tried to put it a little bit higher than, you know. So when you get to the central administration, obviously those are all salaries. That is also based on the 2.9% for next year is the teacher's increase in salary, and support staff at 3.25. So anywhere you see increases, those are the increases for next year's contractual amounts. The health insurance, just to let you know, increase is 8.5. So that is already added in across the board here. So for central administration, pretty much it is all salaries plus, again, the general travel expenses. Under finance, this deals with the different things within the business office, our claims auditor, our internal auditors, externals, all of those things. Would you have any idea, our state aid claiming, did that just go up because we've begun to use more for the building project?
No, that actually includes also part of the cooperative business office, which would be, I think 12-13 was your first year.
Okay, yes.
There was, no, Harold's year was 11-12, which would be why, okay, so it did go up, because you had started in September, right?
Yes.
Okay, that's right, it was 9 months of 11-12, and then a full year for this year.
And that, I mean, we already have that, that's why that is in there, and it's in yellow just because I wanted to ask, and I didn't forget. Everything else is pretty much the same on that page for the auditors. One of the things just to talk about real quick, our internal auditor may or may not be able to stay on with us due to family health issues. She's doing a fabulous job. So I have the name of one other person I'm going to call to see if they would want to be a sub. At this point, she does not want to give it up, but she may be forced to. And if it happens, it can happen very quickly. So she would train anybody, you know, as much as she could, but I only have one name at this point of someone to contact. I have other people that might be, okay. So we can, you know, put a feeler out for that. So that's the finances. Under legal staff, and again, we didn't make a contract next year with Silver and Silver or anyone. We did figure a $1,000 increase just because it's been at $6,000 for the last 3 years. That's all of our legal attorney fees across the board. Our financial borrowings went up a bit because obviously we're going to start to use our companies and are beginning to hopefully get a renovation project. Under the BOCES, the increase was due to 4%. The central services, printing and mailing, that's the other one too. Statewide data collection. Why did that go? Because Becky said that's the amount she was sent.
Yeah, I'll have to look at that. Might be coming from there, so I'm not sure.
What I thought, because of all the state testing and data collection that's mandated. But that was almost, you know, a $16,000 jump. So that's a huge increase.
What is that for?
I will check. I know like your regions, I think you have to do a scanning, correct? And so a lot of that, we try to do what we can, but a lot of it goes through NARIC because they house most of the data for the state. So some of these BOCES costs are filtered through us, but it's So I'll check into that and find out what exactly that.
Yeah, that's a pretty substantial increase.
And it's not a choice. We have to have our tests scanned through BOCES through NERC, but you can't just scan your own. And all of our region scoring, probably when you folks took regions test, teachers here in the building scored them. Now we have to do it regionally. We go to another school with about 5 other schools, and it's, considered more secure, and everybody sees across the board what everybody else is doing, learning. And again, it's not an option, that is a mandate that you go into the regional scoring. For a school like us too, sometimes it's beneficial, because if you have to have 3 math teachers to score a region, you only have 3 math teachers, it makes it tough. So, under special items, these are all, and again, at this point, we have not received any increase in taxes, or insurance, so we did not reflect any increase, we just put that amount down. So I wanted to have a full budget to look at. Under instructional administration and improvement, this goes through for our BOCES, curriculum development, our principals, testing, coordination, that type of thing. Again, I kept salaries as is in there at this point until we know what we're going to do. The research and planning, we can really take that column out because we do use title coordination through BOCES. It's just moved, if we remember, put into a different category. It is elsewhere though. In-service education, it's all of the training that's required throughout the state, and it's fairly close to what we did last year. Under benefits, obviously, big increase in that area. Under teaching of regular schools,
So,
again,
how many administrative employees do we have?
in this building,
Yeah.
it would be a high school principal, is the one position, dean of students, that's a shared position. Elementary principal, myself, and Sherry White's part through CSC.
So this just includes you people that you just mentioned, not any secretary or anything, it's just the group that you just mentioned, is that administrative?
That would be, the secretaries are in there.
Okay.
They're under the second category of like the third line down. There's BOCES curriculum development, and the second line is elementary and high school principal, and the third line would be your clerk.
Okay.
On insurances, do we go out to a bid, like a state bid on different companies that they bid for our insurances? Is it through BOCES or
It's through BOCES, and it's through a major consortium.
For the health insurance?
Yeah.
health insurance or any, like building insurance or?
That one's through, I believe, New Connections.
Yes, we do.
And you can go out to bid, really, there's only 2 players in town anymore, Your International or Nicer, so.
Under teaching regular school, at this point, I have not changed any of the teacher salaries, elementary or high school, because we only have 1 retirement at this point that I have a letter in my hand for. It is one of the areas we might consider going to the position to 7% music position. If we want to consider, when we get a little further down the line, dropping it to like 45% to alleviate benefits, that might be a way to do it, or we can keep it at 70. But at this point, that's the only person that have been given notice that they are retiring. Under the area of special appointments, I, at this point, put in 1 extra special education teacher. There's a good possibility that we might have to add a self-contained classroom. The reason being is that one of the early elementary primary program has 14 students in it, and we have a variance from the state to run it at 14. It should only have 12. And we also just have 2 more students available to go into that program.
I'm sorry, I had a question on the category before.
Yeah.
Section A211049, it just said BOCES. That went up almost 22,000. What is that, and why the increase?
Give me 1 second.
See, we don't have, that encompasses a lot of posters, that's why it is. Becky didn't give me the breakdown of what posters she put in there, so I certainly can get that for you, or Becky has the next meeting as well.
Yeah, I'm just curious because there's such an increase.
It could be if you have any shared teachers, multi-op,
one of the things, and it's 14,000.
Okay.
To increase our tech position next year to 2 periods a day, this year we have 1, it's $14,000 additional.
Okay.
So that's the shared teacher.
Who's currently our student students?
Michelle was half and half, and she was principal, half being a student, half as a principal.
Right now, we don't have student students.
Currently, that's the role that Amy is serving.
Thanks.
Okay? So, like I said, and again, it's not a definite, but we did put monies in to hire a special education teacher. Under occupational ed, this is all things for our ag, business, home economics, tech programs, and Southwest Tech, all of our students that go there half a day. And what they do for that for our students, it's a 3-year average of students, so that's kind of how you figure how many students are going to go each year. It's a 3-year rolling average. Under our specialty schools, that's all of our summer band, driver's ed. Currently do not put any money in for GED because we send our students out. And the only other thing, that's pretty much everything, and this, the after-school program. Under instructional media, that's, this problem is wrong, under instructional media. This one right now, it's invisible, campus. But instructional media is our library, all of our AV things through the Moses Learning Center, all of our, systems that come in and out, the inventory that they do here in the library is all included under instructional media. The next grouping is all of our hardware and software. A lot of that is aided for computers. Pupil services, and again, this increases mainly fall under salary. The majority of the other things stayed pretty close to where they were. Health services comes under our nurse, nursing assistants, the school doctor, psychologist, the materials and supplies to run each of those offices. Okay, this has already been gone over, all the co-curricular, that was all the stuff that Lori Brewer went through. I just put it into the chart so that everybody could look at it. Pupil transportation is already done by Frank. Building garage, it was done by Frank. The community services, I have not been contacted, nor do I know who to contact about the summer youth program, whether or not they plan to do it. The 3 people's names I was given, all 3 told me that they chose to come off the board. I did put an extra $1,000 in there this summer because we haven't increased it for several years, and I know that they barely made it with the budget they had. So I'm, hoping that they're going to continue to have that.
I don't know, Amy, would Sherry be the one to?
She's not on the board, but I mean, as far as our.
Right, she usually did the paperwork.
Right.
Yeah. So will the board have to reappoint?
Right.
Because Dorna has nothing to do with Jen, Telling has nothing, Missy Hale has nothing, Sheena Brown has nothing. And I think not that they have like a call.
Phil Soper, is he on that board? Phil
Yeah.
Soper? Yeah, for some reason.
I'll ask him, I have no idea.
He wasn't one time, but.
Okay.
No, you got it.
Yeah.
He's easy enough to get a hold of here, so.
Yes. I don't know.
I mean, I felt like once they got together again last year, they had a great summer. And
Yes.
things, really improved organizationally. And it would be great to see that program come back up and running and get the numbers again.
Right.
So, and we will have our after-school program in the summer, which is a positive, so that helps with busing. As far as all the benefits, as I said, we had already talked about those increases percent-wise. John's central services has all been done. Bottom line, our increase for the 13-14 school year is $560,000, and we had a state increase of $236,544, which gives us a shortfall of $323,523. So at this moment, it's better than where we've been over the last couple of years. And that does not reflect federal funding, federal aids.
Okay, do we know what's going to happen with the title?
hurt anything, and that's one of our main
Right.
supporters of, at least 12 positions here in our building.
So at this point in time, our shortfall's 323, 525, you said?
Yes,
That's good, bit less than the last couple of years.
Yes.
I believe.
well, we got an increase, and we truly held this, and now some of the stuff will go up, but I tried to put everything into one report this time. Usually we don't get this far until March or so, but so we could really look to see what we had, and also to know if we lose title, what does that mean to us?
What does that mean?
About 400,000 more.
When will we know that?
That
Unfortunately, sometimes you don't know. There's been some emails I know that came out today about whether there's going to be sequestering or not. And so some were saying about a 5.8, I think, % decrease in title funding, but that's overall. And so New York State might lose up to 14% is some of the numbers I've been hearing, so.
So those two numbers that you just mentioned, 400,000 and then 323, 525, add those two together, that's still less than what we used out of our reserve fund last year. Just, I don't know, if we're gonna- we won't talk about that.
about 700,000.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Just one kind of umbrella question, is what's the best way for us to get questions to you or to the staff on what we may have when we digest this a little bit? Is
You
it?
need to ask that budget?
Yeah.
Just email me.
Just email you?
Yeah,
Okay.
Becky and I'll sit down and go through them.
Okay.
Are we gonna start putting, when it's posted on the school website, draft across there so that somebody's not really familiar with their process and they go look at the website and think, oh, their budget's done already?
I guess I was thinking I'd prefer that the board look at it, and at the next meeting we'll discuss it again. See if there's any tweaks before we put it out as a draft even, because maybe we're well ahead.
All right.
And I just don't want people to think this is it. And this is
Yeah,
what we're
right.
presenting when we do our budget presentation.
Yeah.
Because it's premature,
Contains
but
a
I
lot.
think it's nice to have something, this
Right.
concrete.
Have you asked the department heads to take another solid look at everything, see if there's any place to cut?
Well, at this point, just to let you know, the elementary and high school teachers have done no purchases, no bids. We took the numbers, put them, the same financial amounts into each of the budgets, and then we'll break them up once we know what classes we're teaching next year, teachers, if we have retirements or not. And then we'll do all of our purchase orders more later spring, instead of doing them now and then redoing them.
Right.
At this point, we're not really sure. I think there's 5 staff left that are considering retirement,
Right.
I think. Let me just-
So if it wasn't for the Title I uncertainty, we'd be in real good shape right now.
We'd be in excellent shape. Oh, maybe 4. So 4.
Cool. Hopefully that Title I will come back with us.
I don't think they're actually doing what they don't tell you what they're gonna give us. I mean,
Well, the reality is, they can change it mid-year too,
I realize.
and they've done that.
That's
So
the hard 1 year. Right.
It's always very difficult.
Well, what about this, Homework keeps talking about this 208 million extra funding that school's gonna apply for, that's something that we should look into? Is it 208 million, 208 million? I know Canton High School or Canton School's looking at trying to gobble up some of that.
Are those the competitive ones, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't heard a lot of details this year.
Because I know one chunk of money they were questioning, what the New York City didn't get because they didn't meet the deadline. I just read a thing in the paper that they're suing for the money. So I'm sure that money will sit there until that's decided what they're going to do with it.
They lost 250 million, just from the state.
Good.
Do you have any committee budget?
No, just budget-wise, just like Sue said, it is preliminary. I believe the fuel bids are being opened this week,
I
perhaps.
think so.
So you should have a better idea on that. You'll have your BOCES commitment form, so those numbers will be firm the next time you guys meet. State aid, again, this is the governor's proposal, what happens with it. Hopefully it'll be more, but I wouldn't count on that at this point. So, and I've seen districts lose money between the governors and the state runs. So, you know, as you move further along, the numbers should get a little firmer, but there's still gonna be some uncertainties. You know, the title funding will probably be one of them, and whether the state budget is passed or not will be another big one, so.
It sounded like he was too supportive when he was talking the other day about basically schools are where they are, and if they need to do things like merge and stuff like that, that you should get started with it, basically. So,
That's pretty much the message.
yeah, that's how I heard it, so I don't know, okay.
Yeah, he's
The money's what it is, and you guys do figure out what you have to do.
Great if you live in the city and you can just merge a school. Do you have anything else for us, Sue?
No, I don't.
Okay. Can I have a motion to go into executive session for discussions regarding proposed pending or current litigation, collective negotiations pursuant to Article 14 of the Civil Service Law, and medical, financial, credit, or employment history of a particular person or corporation, or matters leading to appointment, employment, promotion, demotion, discipline, suspension, or removal of a particular person, and CSE. Andy
I'll second.
and Lynn for executive session at 7:20. Oh, all in favor?
Right.
Any opposed? Motion is carried for executive session at 7:20.
Carrie, do you have any reason for taking you to stay?
No.